welcome back to the deep dive. So we've gone through all the source material you sent over a really great mix of articles on everything from global traditions to the psychology of what happens when the clock strikes midnight.
It's a fascinating topic. I mean, the switch from one year to the next is one of the only moments that almost everyone on the planet experiences together. It's this powerful mix of excitement, hope, and motivation.
That's the perfect word for it, hope. And that's our mission today. We want to go deeper than just talking about fireworks and parties. We're going to unpack the specific language people use, get into the symbolism behind the traditions, and really analyze the psychology of why we all feel this pull to start fresh.
Right, so you can feel totally confident not just talking about what people do, but really understanding why they do it.
And I think the best place to start is with the words themselves, the language.
Absolutely, because the words we use aren't just descriptions, they're the tools we use to even think about making a change.
Okay, let's jump in. The sources flagged about 5 key expressions that really define this whole ritual. And the first one, well, it's the big one, the resolution.
Yes, the resolution. And we all think of it as, just a promise you make to yourself. But it's so much more than that.
It has to be, because it's such a powerful idea.
It is. What's really fascinating, and the materials dig into this, is the psychology. It satisfies this very deep human need for something researchers call temporal landmarking.
Temporal landmarking. So that's basically using a date on the calendar, January 1st, as a clean slate, a psychological line in the sand.
Exactly. It lets you sort of compartmentalize all your past failures or mistakes and just declare a fresh start. It's like an annual permission slip for optimism.
And the resolution is the first step. It's the statement of intent. The sources gave that great, simple example. My New Year's resolution is to speak English every day. It's so direct.
It's a declaration, and that personal declaration is immediately followed by this big collective ritual, the countdown.
Right. Counting backward from 10. We all know it. We all do it. But what's the cultural function of that shared moment?
It creates this incredible simultaneous surge of anticipation across the globe. It's not just marking time passing, it's a dramatic pause. It builds this tension that just explodes at midnight.
And that explosion of energy, that's the moment we ring in the new year.
Yes, I love that phrase. It's so much more active than just celebrate.
It really is. Saying, I will ring in the new year with my family, has this sense of, I don't know, tradition and real joy to it.
It does. And right after that moment, you have another quick but really vital ritual.
The toast.
The toast. Raising a glass. The sources were really clear that it doesn't matter what's in the glass. It could be juice, soda, anything.
It's not about the drink, it's about the gesture, the public declaration of good wishes. You say things like, to a happy new year, or to health and success. It's vocalizing that hope we talked about.
And all of these things, the resolution, the countdown, the toast, they're all wrapped up in this one perfect idiom to turn over a new leaf. That's it. That phrase captures the entire spirit of the moment. It's this narrative of rebirth and starting fresh, and our own language gives us the words to do it.
So the language is all about optimism and reinvention. But what about what people actually do? Let's pivot to that, to the global celebrations and the smaller personal rituals.
It's such a study in contrasts. On New Year's Eve or NYE, you have these two things happening at once. On one hand, you've got the massive televised spectacle.
The fireworks in Sydney, the ball drop in Times Square.
Exactly. Huge public events connecting millions of people through a screen. But then on the other hand, the sources point out how deeply personal and domestic it is for most people.
Right. Most of us are just at home with friends or family, eating snacks, maybe playing some games.
And that midnight moment is very physical, very emotional. It's the cheering, the hugging, saying Happy New Year to the people right there with you. That contrast between the global spectacle and the living room hug is what makes it so unique.
I really love that small detail one of the sources mentioned, the symbolic tradition of opening the door.
Oh, that was fantastic.
The family in the example, at the stroke of midnight, they physically open their front door. The idea is to let the old year out and welcome the new year in.
And that's a perfect illustration of how we turn these big psychological ideas into simple physical acts. The source material explicitly links opening that door, a physical barrier to the feeling of hope. You're literally ushering in a fresh start.
It's beautiful. And speaking of tangible things, food is another huge part of this. And it's not just about having snacks for a party.
Not at all. Food becomes a kind of ritual, a form of good luck charm. Many cultures have specific dishes they eat because they believe those foods will bring prosperity or health.
And the sources pointed out how different they are everywhere you look.
Mm,
Pork, because pigs root forward. Lentils that look like little coins.
right, or certain greens that represent money. The specific food doesn't matter as much as the intention behind it. You're trying to, eat your way to a better year.
And that desire for a better year, for prosperity, that leads us right into the final and maybe most important part of this, the psychology of it all, the resolutions and the need for reflection.
Yes, because we've talked about all this hope and excitement, but let's be honest, there's a huge elephant in the room.
Failure.
Failure. We all know that most resolutions just don't last. Often they're gone by February. People get swept up in setting these goals, exercising more, saving money, learning a skill because the calendar gives them permission to want to be better.
So what did the sources say was the single biggest reason they fail? Is it just that people lose motivation?
Well, it's a bit more fundamental than that. The insight from the materials is that the problem isn't the desire to change, it's the realism of the goal.
So it's not about willpower, it's about strategy.
Exactly. The most critical piece of advice was to choose realistic goals. Now, that sounds so simple, almost generic.
But the example they gave makes it so clear.
It's about simplicity and clarity. Don't just resolve to speak English more. That's huge and vague. What does that even mean?
And it's easy to feel like you're failing at it.
Right. The successful path, according to the research, is to make it a tiny, clear daily habit, like, I will practice speaking English for just 10 minutes every single day. That's something you can actually do.
So you're not relying on that huge initial wave of New Year's motivation.
Yeah.
You're relying on a small, persistent habit.
You have to translate that turn over a new leaf feeling into something you can do on a boring Tuesday afternoon. And that whole shift in energy is perfectly mirrored in the transition from New Year's Eve to New Year's Day.
That is such a great point. The contrast is night and day, literally. New Year's Eve is loud, it's chaotic, it's a celebration.
And New Year's Day, January 1st, is the opposite. It is the calm after the storm.
Total deceleration. The sources say typical activities are sleeping in, relaxing, just having quiet time with family.
And we need that quiet. Subconsciously, I think we need that slowness to process the change, to let it sink in.
And that calm is what allows for the most important part of the whole process, reflection.
Yes. That's what January 1st is really for. It's for looking back at the year that's passed, thinking about what you learned, what went wrong, what went right.
And then looking forward to what you want.
That's the engine of real growth. You take the lessons from the old year to fuel your plans for the new one.
It's the ultimate reset. The sources really emphasize that even if last year was terrible, the new year offers this idea of another chance.
It's a fresh start, defined by hope, but it has to be supported by simple, structured goals. That's the magic combination.
So that really wraps up our deep dive. We've covered the lexicon of hope resolution, countdown, toast. We've talked about the shift from the big, loud celebration to the quiet, vital work of personal reflection.
And we've seen how the key to making any of it stick is translating that initial burst of energy into something small and sustainable.
Which brings us to the final thought we want to leave you with. Since this is all about starting fresh and making changes, maybe the most important question isn't what you resolve to do,
but how you design that resolution so it's simple and clear enough to actually survive past January.
Exactly. How do you build that bridge from the excitement you feel at midnight to the discipline you need at 2 p.m. on a workday? That's really something to think about as you move forward.
Happy New Year and happy learning.
We'll see you next time for the next deep dive.